and I just realized that's how I got so thrown off. So, but I'm
Mhm.
so excited. So I'm live, but I still want to take a minute because this is organic. This is live and organic. Um, because hold on, if I close this, yeah, because I'm not trying to share my screen. So my client developed her journal off of me telling her to go home and journal, go home and journal, go home and journal. And so because I was telling her to journal, 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 she actually developed her own kind of journaling prompts, and now she's turned those into a journal that's on Amazon. And so I'm going to make sure, of course, I put it on my social media links. And I want you guys just to think about when you're giving homework assignments to your clients, is that something that you could turn into a journal yourself for you guys to put on Amazon? So, that's not the topic or sex therapy topic, but since it's top of mind for clinicians, because our hours are limited. Like we can only like the way therapy works is we do one-on-one, especially in our practice. We do a lot of one-on-one, and that's the majority, or one-on-two couple therapy. And so we can only make a certain amount of money because we can't work, 80 hours a week. That's just not sustainable. Most clinicians are considered full when their practice is at 25 sessions per week, you know, because we have probably 15 hours of notes to go with those 25 sessions, or phone calls or things to follow up. And a good part when you're a new clinician, even when you're an old clinician, is also reading and figuring out and
Mhm.
thinking. And so the amount of time that I spend thinking about my clients, I bet it I bet if I like charted it out, I think I would be shocked. Because I'll have certain clients and I'll just be thinking like, oh, look, I gotta turn my head because I feel like I have to turn my head sometimes. Like, how do I, okay, I know where we got to get them to. Like, how do I get them there?
Mhm.
What's going to be the phrase? What's the hook? What's the catch? What's keeping them? What's the underlying thing that we found?
Mhm.
So, um, I think today I want us to talk about the process of therapy. And
Mhm.
so let's just everybody, if you would just kind of check in and tell me how you're doing, and then what have you noticed about the process of therapy, and what do you want clients to know about the process of therapy? So Taj, you were first this morning and you are our newest clinician. All right, so tell us, what are you learning about the process of therapy and how you doing today?
Um, Today I'm doing well. Happy it's Friday. It's Friday,
Hmm.
end of the week and the last day.
Hmm.
Um,
There we go.
as a clinician so far, I am learning about what you just said, how much time is spent thinking and processing and reading and researching and figuring out. Um, but I enjoy it. And so I feel like I have to maintain a sense of natural curiosity about,
Hmm.
our subject field so that I
Hmm.
can be intrinsically motivated to keep reading and researching and connecting and talking with other people. Um, so yeah, that's what I've learned so
Hmm.
far.
Thank
Yeah.
you. All right, Mary Hannah, how are you? And then what are your thoughts about the process of therapy?
Yeah, I'm doing really well. Also excited that it's Friday, excited about weekend plans,
Yay.
Halloweeny plans. But
Mhm.
so yeah, the process and like in like the therapy field for anyone who's watching this that may like not be in it,
Mhm.
we have this thing called process versus content. And
Ooh.
basically it's like what you're saying, like the content that you're saying versus the underlying meaning, which is the process part.
Mhm.
And so it's our job as therapists to find that process and sift through the content to find the process, and
Yeah.
hopefully to model for the clients how they can begin to do that as well. So like
Yeah.
what that looks like is talking about a really bad day that you're having is the
Mhm.
content, and the process of it is like
wow, it sounds like you felt really unseen today. It sounds
Mm,
like you felt really disrespected. It sounds like you
yeah,
felt really unheard today, really
yeah,
lonely or isolated.
yeah.
And for clients, that can be really helpful for recognizing those underlying needs, like, oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I was feeling unheard. What are some things that make me feel heard? How can I
Yeah.
communicate to the people around
Mm-hmm.
me I feel unheard? And it can do a
Mm-hmm.
good job too of making you use I statements more, just things like that. So that's
Yeah.
what comes to mind to me when I think about like the process and sifting
Yeah.
through the content to find the
The
underlying
process.
needs.
Yeah. That's excellent because I was actually talking to Taj yesterday. We were kind of doing a supervision call, and I was saying
Mhm,
that we trying to pull our clients up out of the weeds into the process
mhm,
of it. But I had
mhm,
forgotten we call it process versus content. And so, our clients will want to be like, but we're arguing over the salt and pepper and we need to finish that argument. Okay. And we're gonna want to say, okay, yes, y'all argue over the salt and pepper, but y'all argue over a lot of things. So we got to focus on like what's the process of it? What's happening that's making you guys take opposite sides on salt? like,
mhm,
like,
mhm, mhm,
like what's really going on? Is it a power struggle? Is it a feeling disrespected? Is it all of the myriad of things? And then hopefully as therapists, we're helping you change the process, whether that's
mhm,
internal feelings, your internal system of processes, and how you're receiving the information of your partner, are actually your actions and what you're actually doing in the process or speaking or saying in the process, because that changes. And the wonderful thing about, I think, couples therapy or even individual therapy is when you make a change to a system, the system usually changes. And
mhm.
so everybody has power to start making change in their life. So, Sherry, okay, what do you think about process and the process of therapy?
Well, when I think about the process of therapy, I think I just think about how clients measure.
Mm,
Uh, what are you
yeah,
using to measure
yeah,
what you're gaining from this process?
yeah.
Along with what Mary Hannah said, we have a lot of systemic and relational, you know, thought
Oh
process.
yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
when I just think about, well, how does a client look at their own progress and process in therapy,
Mhm,
and how do
Mm-hmm.
they make meaning of that? So
Yeah,
it's almost, a lot of clients understand their process of therapy through understanding how are these things going to be applicable. So when I
yeah.
walk out of this door, so clients want to be able to measure because y'all know I love the deeper work. And sometimes they say, Sharon, you just told me all that and I like what you said, but how that's gonna work for me in my real life? So then we
Mm-hmm.
have to start going through the application process, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
sort of like now it's going back to what Mary Hannah said. Understanding what your process is in the moment, bringing it forward to your awareness so that it
mm-hmm.
can influence a different behavior or a different
mhm,
response, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so being able to have clients be a part of their process, because they look
Yeah,
at their process as therapy as progress,
yes,
mm,
right? So
yeah,
I
mm,
understand my process is through progress. So if
yeah,
I'm going to process the evidence, meaning like sort of like the content,
mm-hmm.
equals evidence. So if I'm going to think about all these details and think about all these evidence and the grand scheme of things, and I started to understand my process, how is it going to
Yeah,
help me with my progress?
yes,
So what am I
mhm,
supposed to be saying? So, I'm thinking about the process of therapy from
yeah,
a client lens, saying, well,
mm-hmm.
what the hell? I get this. I love talking to you, but how is this working in my real life? And I think that's when they can start understanding the
Yeah,
process, when they can
yeah,
see, I get it now. So my underlining thought process
yeah,
may influence this behavior, may influence this attitude, may influence this thought process.
yeah,
So now
mhm,
I had an awareness. So now I'm
mhm,
understanding my process as progress. If that,
yes, yes,
I think
yes,
from a client lens, That's what progress is. I mean, process is progress.
Yeah.
Now I'm arguing less. Now I'm
Mhm.
aware of how I'm feeling, and I'm seeing
Mhm.
how I'm meeting my goals.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's all I got to say.
Sometimes I break it down to clients like wax on, wax off. And
Yeah.
so some of you guys may not remember that, but it was the original Karate Kid. And Mr. Miyagi had Daniel's son like washing it, I think waxing the car. And so it was like wax on, wax off, or like wax on, wax off.
Yeah.
And he's doing it and he doesn't understand, what does this have to do with me learning karate? Like, what does this have to do with anything? And I can't remember the whole storyline. I think maybe he was getting bullied or something, but I need to learn to defend
Mhm.
myself, and you have me doing this thing. And I think sometimes therapy is like that, and we have to explain that to our clients, like, this is the process of therapy. And I know you want instant, like, so we do sex therapy, so you want to jump straight into the bed and have great sex. Okay, but I need
0 to
you
100.
right. I need you simply to start taking 5 minutes and breathing in the morning and relaxing. I need you to consistently connect with your partner in a way that makes them feel seen. I need you to say kind words to your partner that makes them feel more loving to you. And so it could be as simple as like one of my couples, we have instituted a game night for them, just the two of them, couples game night, no kids included. It doesn't have to be more than an hour, but they have to spend that concentrated time with each other without the electronics. That has nothing to do with sex, and yet that is giving them a fabulous sex life. Because the process is, or the underlying things was, there was no emotional connection, which left one partner feeling like, if I'm not emotionally connected to you, then I can't physically connect it to you. And so when they spend that 1 hour concentrated, emotionally connecting, now it's easier for us to physically connect. And so I think the process of therapy, I want clients to understand, is it trust us. We
That part.
trust us. We are the Mr. Miyagi. Like, we understand what muscle needs to be built to get you to have a good sex life. Okay. And sometimes it could be the muscle of you keeping your mouth shut. Just that. And I have a couple of couples. Gosh, I saw you. I have a couple of couples. I promise you, if you all learn not to say everything that comes out your mouth to your partner, you will have more sex, because your mouth is killing your sex life. And sometimes we can't put two and two together. Just like Daniel's son was not able to put together wax on, wax off, is building a critical muscle that I need. So when it comes to the time of the fight, the time of need, the time for a couple to get intimate, all those little skills are built and there. Then it's quite magical sometimes, I gotta say. Yeah, go Mary Hannah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And especially too, like what you're saying of how important it is to build that emotional aspect, right? Because I think it's common for couples to sort sex as like this physical issue, like physical or dexterity. But then whenever I break it down with couples and ask them, like, well, what's the best sex you've ever had with your partner? Most of the time, both of them agree it's when they felt the most emotionally, intimately connected with them. The times where sex felt the most emotionally intense. And so once you can, like, that can be a great way to help couples see, like, oh yeah, it's about that emotional connection that we get to share in the heat of sex.
Yeah. It's so, because it's so counterintuitive, like, right? You have a couple's like, we want to have better sex, great sex immediately now. And we're like, could you go for a walk around the block together?
Together.
Could you do that? You don't have to hold hands, but I need y'all to walk around the block together. And they're like, that has nothing to do with sex. You're right, it doesn't, but I bet it gets you to sex. Like, and so often that's like just kind of the process of therapy. And so, okay, Taj, it looks like you were brimming to say something.
No, it was the sometimes you just have to be quiet. And that resonated with me. um, just because I've seen it in clients, and I ain't even front, I've seen that in myself because I'm a motor mouth of a person. And I've had to learn,
Right.
like, sometimes you just got to be quiet. And when you're quiet, actually, if I really think about it, my father taught me this lesson when I was young, but I had no, I wasn't listening at all. But if you're quiet, it allows the world to open up to you and to expose themselves to you.
Oh, wow.
And
That's a
so
good
you,
one.
my daddy got gems if I paid attention. But
Right. You
yeah,
turned
like
30 and he got
world,
smart.
yeah, I said, whoa, you was right all these years.
Right.
No, but for real, like if you're quiet, people will show themselves, and they, things will reveal a lot more clearly.
Yeah.
And you're able to see it, you're able to hear it. And so like resting in silence is a really, really powerful tool, especially with sex, because like it'll, your partner could, find that as an opportunity to be more vulnerable than they usually do, because you have pulled back and got quiet. And so now they want to fill that space.
Oh,
And,
that's a good point.
you can actually hear how they feel and, listen and receive. And so I resonated with the be quiet. I really did. I really did.
All right, Sherry, what do you want to jump in and say?
Thinking about what Ty shared, because in my life, I'm still learning how to be quiet, especially with my husband. I'm not sure if I ever get there.
It's so hard.
Because I speak out loud. So I have to tell everybody in my house, hey, sometimes you can't listen to me because actually I'm just talking out loud and I'm just talking to somebody about all the different things that's going on in my head. But I'm going to tell you when to get sold on one of my thoughts. Then I'm like, okay, then you can get invested. But other than that,
just let me talk.
Yeah. Right.
I'm not sure how that translates into my sex life. I think my husband's just like, So I don't know. I guess as far as understanding your process with intimacy, I just think that can be really have a lot of layers to it, because what about your process is influencing your intimacy? Is it a you thing? Is it a partner thing? What is it? Is it confidence? Is it you just had a baby? You don't know how to have sex no more? Know how to feel about sex anymore? Are you too tired? What type of changes have occurred in you that influence your bigger picture of things?
Right.
It's kind of taking you away from being intimate. See, I personally am a quality person, not really a quantity person. I can hold out for a whole month. Now I probably can't hold out no more than 2 or 3 weeks, to be honest. But if sex is dynamic, I'm like, boy, I take one of those every time versus trying to meet my weekly quota.
Right.
And it's all right. So, that's when my mouth get me in trouble with my husband. Wasn't that worth the wait? And then I don't really know how to say that. Agree to disagree. So that means if I say it was worth the wait, then I'm gonna be waiting all the time. My process with that is, it's just I am in a space where I can be excited about it. My body want it, my mind want it. I'm probably relaxed for work. I probably don't have any worries. And, that's just my process. And then, my overall process sometimes so me and my husband, I'm just going to put it out there. We just recently had this conversation. And I said, well, you want girlfriend sex with wifely duties. And I don't really understand how that works. When I was just your girlfriend,
that's a blog post right there.
Yeah. I said, when I was just your girlfriend, babe, all I had to do was look pretty and wait on you to come pick me up.
Man, let me tell you.
I didn't have no obligations to you. Like, I wasn't doing nothing for you, and I could do whatever I wanted to do for you.
When I wanted to do it.
Potatoes, I could be like, come on, baby. Get some sexy lingerie. Come on over here and get this meal. And then it was nothing else I had to be responsible for after them, but liking. That's all I had to be responsible for was like showing you that I like it. Nothing more and nothing less. And so I have wife duties. So when I have free time to not, be so enriched in married life and wifely duties, then maybe we can have girlfriend and boyfriend sex. But that just can't be what happens twice out the week.
So let me bring that back around for couples to look at their process for how to get to sex. Because in the dating process, because we'll hear couples say, like, we'll say, well, how about scheduling it? So everybody knows what's happening. Because if you know what's happening, then you know how you need to prepare and we can show up nice and prepared. I don't want to do that. We shouldn't have to do that. Sex shouldn't have to be scheduled. And then I have to say, look at when you were dating, because that was definitely scheduled sex. Can I come pick you up Saturday night and take you to a movie? Yes. Can we do a Netflix and chill night? Yes. That is scheduling sex. At the very least, that's setting the stage for something sexual possibly to happen. And people don't do that when they're in married life. And so I want a lot of couples looking at the process of how do we get to sex before when we were dating and how do we get to sex now? And so if we were dating and every time I showed up at your doorstep, I was showered, shaved, smelling good, looking good, fresh haircut, am I doing that same process now to make sex happen? And looking at the whole thing. If we, I think I remember a long time ago, I had a couple one time, and their process always included like some type of alcohol beverage and conversation, because alcohol loosens the tongue, right? And so that's just how it would happen in the dating process. And so now that they were older and kind of trying to figure out how not to date, how not to drink alcohol anymore, then okay, but how do we get to sex? How do we now magically jump to the bedroom? Because before it was so fluid with that conversation. And so I think we wind up doing mocktails for them so that they can honor that, but still have that process without just the alcoholic drink. But we still need to have that process of having a drink in our hand and having a great conversation, connecting conversation that now makes people feel emotionally closer, which is easier then for people to get physically closer. All right. And so in therapy, that's one of the major things that we're helping you guys do is figure out what are those processes to get you to sex. And so we want to get you away from the content of the fight of the week or all of the things that's going on and really pull you into what's the bigger picture here. Why do I get so triggered when my partner walks out of the room? Like, what's going on with me? Because when you can figure those things out, it's like wax on, wax off. And so next time it happens or when there's a critical moment, that muscle is now built and you're not affected the same way. And so therefore you can do things the same way. So therefore you probably have sex more consistently. So, all right. The other thing I wanted to back around and there's a balance, I think, of when knowing to keep when to keep your mouth shut and also when to communicate. Okay. And so constantly check your balance on what am I communicating? How am I communicating? When do I need to be quiet and when do I need to speak up? Because a lot of times people aren't speaking up regarding kind of sexual things or sexual issues or something like that. But they are hypercritical about how the floor didn't get vacuumed. All right. And so I want everybody just kind of taking a thermostat, a barometer, and figuring out what am I saying that maybe I don't need to be saying? And what am I not saying that I probably absolutely need to be saying? And with that, I'm going to challenge everybody within the sound of my voice to please make sure that you are appreciating your partner. And so I feel like a lot of times in therapy, a lot of the main complaints is I don't feel appreciated. I don't feel appreciated. I don't feel appreciated. It's hard to have sex with somebody who you don't feel like appreciates you. Okay. And so I'm going to challenge everybody within the sound of my voice to make sure that you're appreciating everybody in your life, but specifically your sexual partner. That's my 2 cents for the day. Anybody else got one last word in the last minute? That's just burning to get out and say. Okay. Well, thank you, ladies, for your time today. Y'all have an awesome weekend, and I'll see you. Bye.